So welcome everybody to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be continuing going through the practice paper 2023 foundation level set 3 paper 3, which is a calculator paper. Now as always I'll include a question breakdown in the description below so you can see which topic refers to which question on this paper. So let's get straight into this practice paper 2023 foundation set 3 paper 3, which is a calculator paper. So looking at question 1, it says solve 3x equals 12. So we want to make x the subject, so we've got x equals, and we need to get rid of the 3. And how do we do that? Well, we do the opposite of what 3 is doing, so it's multiplying, so we divide by 3. So x equals 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Question B, we want to get rid of the 6, so we do the opposite, so we take away 6, and y equals 15 take away 6, which is 9. Then for C, we want to get rid of the 4, and the 4 is dividing, so the opposite would be to multiply by 4, so I get w equals 20. Then for 2a, we want to work out this fraction times 3, so it's 2/7 times 3, so if we convert the 3 into a fraction, it then becomes 2/7 multiplied by 3 over 1. 2 times 3 is 6, 7 times 1 is 7. Can it be simplified? No, it can't, so there is our answer. Moving on to 2b, it says work out the square root of 529. So all we need to do is just simply type that into our calculator and you should have the correct answer of 23. Likewise with 2c, we just want to input 3 to the power of 4, or 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which the correct answer is 81. Moving on to 3a, it says that an ordinary fair die is thrown. Work out probability of getting a 4 or a 5. Well, how many 4s or 5s are there on a die? Well, there's 2 out of a total of 6 numbers. So you can either write 2 over 6 or 1/3. Then for B, it says work out probability of not getting a 2. So how many numbers are not 2 on a die? Well, that's going to be 5 out of 6, so the answer then is 5/6. Now again, alternatively, you could write your answer as a decimal. I'm going to leave mine as a fraction. Moving on to question 4, it says that Cara opens a pizza restaurant. The frequency table shows information about the first 20 pizzas she sells, and want to complete the pictogram. So a circle represents 2 people. So how many 2's go into 5? Well, that's going to be 2.5. Then how many 2's go into 8? That's going to be 4, so that's going to be 4 circles. How many 2's go into 3? That's going to be 1.5. And then how many 2's go into 4? Well, that's going to be 2. So there is my completed pictogram. It then says what percentage of the 20 pizzas were pepperoni? So there were 8 out of 20, and then because we want it as a percentage, we're going to multiply that by 100. And if I type that all into my calculator, I get an answer of 40. So then moving on to question 4c, it says at the restaurant, Ruth orders food for £13.50, drinks for £2.40. She uses a voucher of 1/3 off the price of food that does not include a drink. After the bill has been used, a 10% service charge has been added. Work out the final bill. So for this, we know that she's spending £13.50 on food. So to work out the discount on food, it's going to be 1/3 multiplied by £13.50. So the discount she's going to get off is £4.50. So then if we write then the cost of food, well, that's going to be £13.50 minus £4.50, which is going to give me a total of £9. Then we work out the cost of drink, which is £2.40. So then the total is going to be £2.40 plus £9, which comes up to a total of £11.40. We then need to add on 10%. So 10% of 11.40 is £1.14. So this is the service. So then the total bill is going to be £11.40 plus £1.14, and if we calculate all of that, we get a total of £12.54. Moving on to question 5a, it says 2 tubs of ice cream cost £5.90. Work out how much 5 would cost. Well, we need to do £5.90 divided by 2, and that comes up to £2.95 per tub. We all know the price of 5, so if I multiply that by 5, I should have the answer of £14.75. Then for question 5b, it says the factory makes 8,000 tubs of ice cream. Each tub contains 500 millilitres. How many litres of ice cream does the factory make? Well, if I start by converting this into litres, so I divide by 1,000, and that equals 0.5 litres. So then if I then do 8,000 multiplied by 0.5, I get the final answer of 4,000. So then moving on to question 6, it says 240 people go to a rugby match. 183 of the people support the home team, the other support the away team. 162 of the people are adults, and 45 of the away supporters are adults. And the question is asking us to complete the frequency tree. Well, we can start off by working out what this one here is going to be by doing 240 minus 183, and that comes up to a value of 57. Knowing that there are 162 adults, that I can then work out what this one here is going to be by doing 162 minus 45, and that comes up to a value of 117. I can then work out what this one here is going to be by doing 183 minus 117, which is 66. And then finally I can then work out what this one here is going to be by doing 57 minus 45, and that gives me an answer of 12. Then moving on to question 7, it says that a house is being built, 8,400 bricks will be laid. 3 bricklayers will each lay 350 bricks per day and are paid £175 per day. How much in total will they be paid? So first things first, what we want to do is we want to work out how many days there's going to be needed to complete the job. So the total number of days needed is going to be 8,400 divided by 350, which comes up to a total of 24 days. Now in this, we know that we've got 3 bricklayers, so then from this, if I then do 21, if they're going to be paid £175 per day, well, if I multiply that by 175, I then get a total amount of 4,200. Moving on to question 8, it says work out the remainder of 8,529 divided by 24. Well, if I do 8,529 divided by 42 on the calculator, I get an answer of 203.07 blah blah blah. So then if I then round this number up and just take 203, so I've got 203 multiplied by 42, I get 203 times 42, I get an answer of 8526. So then if I then do 8529 minus 8526, I then work out the difference, which is, or the remainder, which is 3. For question 9, it says Zoe's password is made up from 4 digits. She remembers it as 2 two-digit numbers. The first 2 digits is a prime number between 10 and 20, and the second number is a prime number between 20 and 30. List her possible passwords. So in terms of the first 2 digits, well, a prime number that's between 10 and 20, well, it can either be 11, it can be 13, it can be 17, or it can be 19. And the last 2 Well, a prime number that is between 20 and 30, well, that's either going to be 23 or 29. So then listing all those outcomes, I could have 11 and 23, 11 and 29. Then I move on to 13, so I could have 13 and 23 and 13 and 29. Then I move on to 17, in which I've got 17, 23, 17, 29, and then finally 19, 23 and 19, 29. Question 10a, it says work out the highest common factor of 12 and 20. So here factors of 20 is going to be 1, 2, 4, 5, 10 and 20. Factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12. Now, which is the smallest, highest number that appears in both lists? So it's going to be 4. Then looking at question 10, it says work out the lowest common multiple of 6 and 8. Well, multiples of 6 is 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Multiples of 8 are 8, 16, 24, and you can see 24 appears in both, and so 24 is my answer. Moving on to question 11, it says here is some information on a yogurt pot, and it says total contents is 450 grams, and there is of those 57.15 grams is sugar. Harry tries to work out the amount of sugar in 100 grams of yogurt. His first answer is 61.65 grams. Why must he be wrong? Well, in terms of looking at Harry's mistake, there are 57.15 grams in 450 grams. So in 100 grams, there must be less. So he's overestimated there. So then moving on to 11b, it says Harry now tries this calculation. He's got 450 divided by 57.15 multiplied by 100. What error has he made? Well, basically he's got these two numbers here the wrong way around. So it should be 57.15 divided by 450 multiplied by 100. Then moving on to question 12, it says that in a game Anna has to describe a cuboid. She must not use the word cuboid. She says that the shape has 6 faces, all faces are square, and it has 10 vertices. Correct any mistakes that Hannah has made. Well, the two mistakes are this statement here. So in other words, that there must be, or there can only be 2 faces that are square, in which you may not always get a square on a cuboid, but at most there can only be 2, not all faces, otherwise it would be a cube. And then the last statement is incorrect in the fact that a cuboid has 8 vertices, not 10. Then moving on to question 13, it says during a year 9 a school runs a trip to the cinema and a trip to bowling, and it says 125 students go to the cinema, 120 go bowling, 52 students go to both, and 47 do not go on the trip to either. How many students are there in year 9? So first things first, we know we start by labeling the Venn diagrams. We've got cinema and we've got bowling. Now in terms of how many there are in both, well, that is this statement here. So that means that 52 must go in the middle. Then we know that in terms of the cinema, that all the numbers inside this pink circle need to add up to 125. So this little section here is going to be 125 minus 52, and typing that all into my calculator, I get an answer of 73. Then moving on to bowling, we know that all the numbers in the circle need to add up to 120. So this number here is going to be 120 minus 52. So 120 minus 52 gives me an answer of 68. We also know that 47 do not go on the trip. So we've got there. So now I've completed my Venn diagram. So the total number of students in year 9 equals, and I just add all those numbers up, in which if I do just that, I get an answer of 240. Then moving on to question 14, it says that a solid shape is made with a cube and a cylinder. The cube has an edge length of 4 centimeters. The cylinder has a diameter of 4 and a height of 2. The cylinder sits symmetrically on the center at the top of the cube as shown, and it says draw the front elevation on the centimeter grid below. So for this, what we need to do is, now you need to make sure that you are using a ruler. However, I'm not going to use one just because it will probably add about 10 minutes onto the video, in which you should have a 2x4 and a 4x4 drawing. It then says for us to draw the front and side elevation of this particular shape. So this is my front and this is my side view. So looking at the front, I'm going to end up with something that looks like this. So I've got a 4x4 grid, so that's the base, and then in the middle I've got to draw a 2x4, so it looks something like that. Then for the next one, we are then going to draw a 4x4, which is the box, like so. And again, you should be using a ruler. Again, I'm just sketching, and then what we then need to do is, using a compass with a radius of 2, you then just need to draw something that looks like that. Then moving on to question 15, it says here is a formula, and it says S is the distance in meters a ball falls when dropped, and T is the time taken in seconds. A ball is dropped 1.2 seconds later, the ball hits a floor. What distance does the ball fall? So in other words, what we've got here is T equals 1.2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute T equals 1.2 into this formula. So I've got S equals 5 times 1.2 squared. And if I type that all into my calculator, I should have an answer of 7.2. For question B, it says that a different ball is dropped from 2 meters. So here S equals 2, and the question is asking us to work out the value of T. So again, looking at the formula, I've got S equals 5t squared, so S equals 2. So then from this, I've got T squared equals, and it's going to be 2 over 5. So T equals the square root of 2 over 5. And if I type that into my calculator, I get an answer of 0.6324555532, and if I round that number up, I get 0.63, and that's been rounded to 2 decimal places. Moving on to question 16, it says here are 2 right-angled triangles. Assume that the triangles are similar. Work out the area of triangle PQR. So in order to work out the area of PQR, I need to work out what the height is. Now in order to do that, I need to work out the scale factor, and that's going to be 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So this triangle here is twice the size. So that's going to be 8. So then the area of PQR is going to be the base times the height divided by 2. So that's going to be 48 divided by 2, which is 24 centimeters square. It then says, in fact, PR is longer than it would be if the triangles were similar. How does the actual area of PQR compare to your answer in part A? And if that if it's going to be longer, then it means that the area is going to be bigger. Moving on to question 17, it says the distance time graph shows the journey of a toy car. For how long is the toy car stationary? Well, if it's stationary, we're looking for where is the graph going to be, flat or horizontal. It's going to be for those times. And how long is that? Well, it's between 7 and 4 seconds, and 7 take away 4 is 3. The next question then says work out the average speed of the last 5 seconds of the journey. So if I go back to the graph, speed equals distance divided by time. So let me just label this as B. So then what I need to do is work out how far has the car travelled between 7 and 12 seconds. Well, if I turn that into a triangle, then the distance is the height. So it's going from 3 to 10. So then it's travelled 7 meters. And in terms of the time, it's gone from 12 to 7. So that's going to be 5 seconds. So the average speed is going to be 7 over 5, which gives me an answer of 1.4 meters per second. Then moving on to question 18, we just want to type this into our calculator using standard form. And if I type that all into my calculator reads 240,000. Now we want to convert this into standard form. So all right, this is a number between 1 and 10, multiplied by 10, and then just count the number of decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's going to be a positive 5 because it's a big number. Question 19 says the 4 possible outcomes of an experiment are A, B, and C, and D. Work out the probability of D. Now, if I just put this in a table, in which here I've got my events, so I've got event, and then I've got the probability. Now, the event of A happening is 0.16. Probability of B happening, and C happening, and D. Well, we know that if I say that C is going to be X, well then using this bit of information here, the probability of B is that it's 3 times the probability of A. So this number here is going to be 3 times 0.16, which comes up to a value of, just quickly work that out, and it comes up to 0.48. Then in terms of C and D, well, those two are both equal to each other. So if one's called X, the other one's going to be X. But we know that all of those probabilities need to add up to 1. So if I do 1 take away 0.16 minus 0.48, then that's going to equal 2x, because all those numbers need to add up to 1. So then from this, what I've then got is 0.16 plus 0.48, take away from 1, and I get 0.36, so 2x equals 0.36. I divide that by 2, and I get 0.18, so this is going to be 0.18, that's going to be 0.18. So what's the probability of D? It's going to be 0.18. Moving on to question 20, it says here is a rectangle in a T-shape. It says show using algebra that the rectangle and the T-shape have the same area. So if we work out the area of the rectangle, then the formula is just the base times the height, so it's going to be 7 lots of x plus 1, and if I expand that out, I get 7x plus 7. Then in terms of the area of the T-shape, well, if I just, as it's compound shape, if I just label them A and B, well, the area of A is going to be 2 lots of 2x plus 5, plus the area of B, which is 3 lots of x minus 1. Then expanding the brackets out, I get this, and then collecting the like terms, I get 7x plus 7. And so as you can see, these two things here are the same. Then moving on to question 21, it says use a ruler and a compass for this question. A wind turbine needs to be positioned so that it's closer to y than x and less than 12 kilometers from x. And we need to map this using loci. So in terms of taking this first point here, what I need to do is I need to do a perpendicular bisector between x and y, and the wanted area is the side, that side closer to x. Then with regards to this step here is I need to draw a circle with a radius of, now if 1 centimeter represents 2 kilometers and it's 12 kilometers, it's going to have a radius of 6 centimeters around x. So what you should have is, if I start by, and it's going to be a bit difficult to do it on here, but what you want to do is you want to draw 2 arcs. Now preferably you want to have them where the center is at the 2 points. So if I just copy that, and I have no idea where this circle is going to go, so that's there, and I can see that the other circle has been moved, so if I just put that one straight. Now you don't have to draw circles that go over the grid, and great, I've just lost both circles there. Well, there we go, it's back again. And then if I then move this circle so that it looks something like this, and you're looking for where those 2 arcs meet. So then what I then need to do is, if I then draw a line through where those points meet, and might now, again, yours should be a lot more accurate because I'm not actually doing this, I'm kind of guessing where those centers are. So I know it's got to be on that side of the line. Then what I then need to do is, and it lets me, I then need to draw a circle that's got a radius of 5 centimeters. So let's just assume that's my circle there. And so this circle here has a radius of 6 centimeters. And then the area R is going to be this region here. Now you can shade it, but you've definitely got to label it. And let me just find the colour that's going to there. And that's my region R. Then moving on to question 22, it says an electrician charges an hourly fixed rate of a charge per job. If an electrician does a 4-hour job, they earn 185, and if they do a 6-hour job, then they earn 265. So for this, what we need to do is need to write each of these statements using algebra. Now, because this one's big, I'm going to write that one first. So here I've got 6h plus the standing charge equals £265. Then if I take this statement here, I get 4 hours of work plus the standard charge equals £185. So this turns into a simultaneous equation. Now the h's have got different numbers, but the c's are the same, and the sign of the c's is also the same. So I take away the 2 equations, and what I then do is I then work out that 2 hours of the electrician's work is the difference between 165 and 185, which is 80. So that means that h must equal 40. So that's one value. Then if I take one of the equations, so let's just take the first one. So I know that 4 hours of work plus the call out charge is £185. Well, I know that h equals 40. So 4 times 40 plus c equals 185. So 160 plus c equals 185. So c equals 185 minus 160. So c equals 25. And so all I then need to do is write down my final answer that the hourly rate is £40 per hour and the standard fixed charge is £25, and that's the last question on this paper.